A Samaritan woman is drawing water from a well outside the village of Samaria. Jesus and his disciples are passing through. Jesus, leaving the disciples behind, goes to the well and speaks something like asking the woman for water. A short distance away, Barabbas and his friend are walking. When Barabbas sees Jesus talking to the Samaritan woman, he stops and watches. The woman gives Jesus water, and he drinks it. Barabbas turns to his friend and asks, "Do you know who he is?" His friend replies, "I don't know." Barabbas says, "His name is Jesus, a preacher." The friend thinks for a moment and says, "Jesus, I've heard of him." Barabbas adds, "He's not just a preacher, he's a Jew." The surprised friend asks, "A Jew? Jews don't drink from Gentiles. How can he drink water from a Samaritan woman?" Barabbas replies, "Yes, he drank. It's like he has no caste differences." Then he says, "Come on, let's go." They continue walking. In the distance, the Samaritan woman is looking in the direction Jesus went. Meanwhile, Jesus is walking towards the disciples and starts walking with them. Many young people, old men, and elders are sitting inside a mountain cave. One of them says, "Barabbas hasn't come yet." Just then, Barabbas and his friend enter the cave. Everyone stands up, then sits back down. Barabbas says, "I have spoken to people of all races. They're all ready to fight with us." An older man asks, "What about the Hebrews?" Barabbas replies, "I've spoken to them. They're afraid, but if we talk to them 2 or 3 more times, they'll join us." An elder speaks up, "Our struggle must be nonviolent." Without hesitation, Barabbas responds, "There is no place for violence in our fight. Our demand needs to reach Pontius Pilate, the governor. Pilate must hear our reasonable request and pass a law allowing us to bury the bodies of non-Jews. Until then, our struggle will remain peaceful." Everyone nods in agreement. Jonah rides through a secluded palm grove in Jerusalem, watching Philomena and Barabbas talk from a distance. After observing them for a while, he rides his horse down the path toward his house. He dismounts and sits in the veranda, his mind troubled. At that moment, a middle-aged woman arrives at the house. She approaches him and asks, "Isn't there a father?" Jonah silently points towards the workshop. The woman walks over to the carpenter working there and says, "My husband is ill at home and hasn't been able to work. We're out of grain. Can I get some wheat flour?" The carpenter nods and directs her to the front of the house. As she walks toward the front, Philomena enters with a pitcher of water. Jonah watches her silently. The carpenter then asks Philomena to give the woman some wheat flour. Philomena takes the flour from the pot and hands it to the woman, who thanks her before leaving. Philomena walks back into the house. Jonah follows her and, with some anger, calls out, "Philomena, what were you talking about with Barabbas in the palm grove, alone?" Philomena walks calmly toward Jonah and replies, "I love him. I want to marry him." Jonah, still angry, asks, "How long has this been going on without us knowing?" Philomena says, "It's not about love. I love him. He doesn't even look at me. He'd never betray his friend. That's why he won't marry me." Jonah's face softens with relief. "I was afraid I chose the wrong friend, but I'll choose the right one. Barabbas will never betray a friend." Philomena quickly asks, "So what about my wedding?" Jonah says, "Your wedding will be with Barabbas. I'll make sure it happens." Philomena responds, "But he has to agree." Jonah smiles, "I'll make him agree." The carpenter, who has been listening, asks, "Jonah, are you really going to do this?" Jonah replies, "What's to think about? Philomena won't find a better man than Barabbas." The carpenter says, "If we Jews marry Philomena to Barabbas, our people will hate us and turn against us." Philomena interrupts, "I just want to live. I'll do whatever it takes." In the middle of a Samaritan village, a group of villagers gathers under a large tree, deep in discussion. Among them sits Barabbas. He looks at the crowd and speaks with determination. "Why are we still debating this? We're not fighting the government. We're fighting for our rights." Pilate, who rules over the Jews, must hear our voices. That's what this struggle is about. We've asked for justice, but they've ignored us every time. Now, we have no choice but to fight. A man in the group speaks hesitantly. But won't the government crush the protest? They'll beat us and drive us away. Barabbas responded passionately. Should we just sit back and accept that? If justice only comes through riot, then let there be riot. If a life must be lost, let it be mine first. Another man questions him. Big words, Barabbas. But is this even possible? Barabbas pointed to the crowd, his confidence unshaken, and said, "People from all castes are ready to join us in this fight. If we stand united, victory will be ours." A man who seems like a leader in the crowd stands and addresses the group. Barabbas is right. These Jews want us to stay quiet, but we can't let them crush us. The crowd erupts with shouts of agreement. "We'll fight. We'll stand with you." Barabbas smiled triumphantly and said, "Friends, the protest is our final choice. But first, we'll appeal one last time to the religious leader who holds power over the Jews and their state for justice. If they refuse, then we begin the protest." The crowd nods in approval and cheers.